guys, welcome back to Shambles. So today I'm going to do something more art oriented because I'm an artist. So I just got back my AP scores for my AP tests that I took last year, or this past year, and I got a 5 out of 5 on my AP studio art test. So woohoo! I just thought I would show you some of my pieces and give you a few tips on getting a 5 on your AP art test. So let's just get into it. I submitted my portfolios to, let's see, USC, NYU, PRATT, PARSONS, SVA, and School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And I got into all of them, and I got scholarships to all of them except for USC. So I could also give you a few tips on applying and getting accepted into those schools with your portfolio. So let's get started. The first piece I felt like was my strongest piece, like I just said, but a lot of colleges don't like realism as much. They want you to be more conceptual rather than technically talented. Being technically talented is also important, but it's not their top priority. So they want you to have a stronger idea of what you're trying to convey with it rather than, oh, your lines and your values are awesome and stuff like that. So I did this piece last year and it got a gold key at Scholastic Art and Writing. And I don't know if you can see this. I'm gonna have to turn off these lights, so sorry if it gets dark. I'm just gonna insert a picture right here. So this is a charcoal drawing that I did, and it's 18 inches by 24 inches. And basically it's just this woman that I met in Africa whenever I went there on a service trip. And she's a Maasai warrior woman, and I just thought she looked freaking awesome. And so my dad took a picture of her and I drew her. The AP portfolio is split into 2 sections of 12 pieces each. There's breadth and there's concentration. So the concentration is where you have a common theme and you have one concept that you're kind of trying to convey with each of the pieces. And then in breadth, you don't have a common theme. You just submit any pieces that you feel shows your technical skill or your variety of skill. And so this piece I put in my breadth because it didn't relate to my concentration at all. And I think it was a good thing that I put it in my breadth because it showed that even though my conceptual pieces were a little less realistic and a little less detailed and stuff like that, I could still do the detailed and realistic stuff. So I think it worked well in my breath. The piece I'm going to show you is probably the biggest piece from my concentration, and this was in my actual concentration. Color and pen, and yeah. So this piece I did in watercolor and pen. And basically it's just, it has a really deep meaning and stuff like that about like how nature is a part of us and how in the end we're going to go back into nature, and it's kind of just a big cycle, and we should embrace nature and let it be a part of our lives because it is a part of our lives and it's a part of who we are. So my concentration theme was individuality and how our environments and where we grow up and like what we grow up with affects us as individuals. And like, so this was my big piece, and it literally is a big piece. Like, in case you didn't see, I was struggling to get it into the frame. So yeah. This piece was another one that I actually kind of liked a lot. It is also colored pencil and pen. And it is a picture of my sister posing as 11. So I know that's against the rules for us to take pictures, to use pictures from the internet and stuff like that, so I didn't. I made my sister pose as 11. So, because I liked the pose. The pose, it just happened to be 11's pose, okay? Anyway, the meaning of this picture is, it's called Two Birds with One Gun, and basically talking about mental illness and depression, but how you can turn to nature and the things around you and find solace in it and kind of a relief from your depression. And so that's why she has her fingers and not a real gun, because she, even though she still has those tendencies and desires to maybe end it, she's not going to, because she knows that there's something bigger than her. Piece, I used pen and watercolor again. Are you surprised? And basically it's just a girl, and she has a bunch of tattoos, and the tattoos are bleeding off into the background. And I use this to show also how nature can influence us, but how a lot of people are like against tattoos, including my family, or at least my mom. And so like I kind of just did this to rebel a little bit. Like, I wasn't myself getting a tattoo, but I was drawing kind of what I wanted to be. And yeah, so a lot of times the idea is that people who get tattoos, which is completely false, but people who get tattoos are like worldly or too cosmopolitan, and they get tattoos because they, I don't know, want to look better or something. But this piece is kind of just showing how the reason she's getting tattoos is because she's in tune with who she is, and she's in tune with nature, and she just loves nature so much that she wants it to be a part of herself permanently, so she tattoos it onto herself. And so I liked that piece. And that was one of the pieces I actually sent to the College Board in this portfolio that they give you, which is this red portfolio, which isn't actually very big, so I couldn't fit my March to the Sea one, the one with the blue hair and all that, which is sad, but whatever. This is also my sister. I draw my sister a lot, and it's also colored pencil and pen. You cannot see it because of this glare. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but basically my sister watches a lot of TV and so it's kind of just like the waves of like technology behind her, and her bottom half is fading into that, and she's got some dots on her that represent the static, and she's got a very dramatic highlight on her face like she's watching the TV, because, and then I framed it so that it looks like she's kind of in a TV, like with the mat. I made it look like the stuff was kind of like her head was going out of the frame and the bottom of her is going out of the frame a little bit. So it's like when you're watching TV, the top of their head kind of comes off. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean. And so, yeah, so I just did that because I thought it was representative of how my sister watches a lot of TV, and a lot of kids these days watch a lot of TV, and it kind of affects who they are a lot. And they kind of get wrapped into these worlds that are fictional, including myself. I'm not, disclaimer, I am probably the biggest one of these people, but they get obsessed with these worlds, and they start to feel like they're a part of them, and they get disconnected from reality, and that's what I was trying to say with that. Some pieces for my breath that weren't that charcoal drawing. So yeah. First thing is this crumpled up figure drawing. It was 2-minute sketches, so they were super quick, and I just did them with pen and marker, and I think I used a little bit of charcoal in them, but yeah, it's super crumpled up. But anyway, Parsons and Pratt and SVA all want you to have figure drawings in your portfolio, so I submitted this and I got in. So this is the only one that I submitted to. So it's not like you have to have like a whole bunch of figure drawings, because I personally hate figure drawings. But I'm starting to like them a lot more. But I hated them when I first started doing them. But yeah, just get creative with them, and they don't have to be like really long timed figure drawings, like 2 hours or 30 minutes or anything. They can literally just be 2 minutes. So yeah. Thing is, all of these schools except for maybe NYU and USC, they didn't have necessarily like guidelines that said you had to have certain things in your portfolio. They just wanted to kind of see a breadth of your work, especially because at NYU and USC I didn't apply for visual arts, I applied for theater, for costume design and set design. But they still wanted to see your art, so they wanted to see direct observation, but they said that it doesn't have to necessarily be like just sitting down and painting or drawing like fruit on a table. Like, so I did a self-portrait from a mirror where I made my jaw look straighter so I didn't look as chubby, but I did this and I submitted it, and I actually really like this piece. So yeah. And then I also did this one in pen, and it's of me. And yeah, these all count as direct observation, because if you're observing yourself in a mirror, then it counts. So direct observation doesn't have to be boring, but it can be boring if you let yourself make boring art, which I did. But this actually wasn't that boring because I just did the whole thing in cross-hatching, and so it was pretty fun. But also put this in my breath, and it is a painting of my cousin Garrett, and so I just put this in there because it's a lot looser than my other stuff, and I don't know if you can see, but the brush strokes are pretty big compared to my other ones, and so I just put this in there to show the variety of things that I can do. And yeah, so they liked this. For some tips, having trouble coming up with ideas for your concentration, just think about all the things you're passionate about. Just make a big list. And basically what I did is I made a list in my sketchbook of all these things that I'm very passionate about, and of all these concepts that I'm super passionate about. And then I chose 5, and I dedicated 5 pages of my sketchbook to those things. And I wrote each thing like in the center of each page, and then I made a web with doodles and drawings around each thing, and then I chose which one I liked the most. The thing that I was going to do was insanity, and then I was going to do a bunch of pieces that had to do with different forms of insanity, and I don't necessarily mean insanity because that can sound a little bit over the top, but I mean just mental illnesses that can lead you to go insane. And I had to be admitted into an insane asylum because I'm fascinated with that, and I have a lot of mental disorders in my family and in myself as well, so I just really wanted to do that, but I figured this one would be a little bit better because I had already done some pieces that had to do with this, so yeah. And then for colleges, they just want to see variety in colleges. They don't necessarily want to see a concentration, so just find all of your best work, but it doesn't necessarily have to be finished work, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like super realistic or like anything like that. Just whatever shows your capabilities the best, put that in it. So the next thing is yourself in your art and challenge yourself. So you don't want to copy other artists. Like, if you're inspired by other artists, if you have been given some tips by another artist and you start to like their style, then by all means like explore, but be yourself. Don't just copy other people's art, because first of all, that's copyright infringement and stuff like that. I don't know. And second of all, that's not a decent thing for a human being to do, because I wouldn't want my creative work being stolen and used as somebody else's. So don't do that to other people, because that sucks. And then colleges and the AP board, they want to see you. they see so many people, they get so many applications and so many portfolios all the time that they want to see something unique, and they want to see you, because that's who you're applying for. You're applying for yourself. So be you and take risks. Don't be afraid to try something new. In 8th grade, whenever I was doing the pre-AP portfolio to get into an advanced high school course, I had never done charcoal before in my life. Like, I was terrified of charcoal and I had no idea how to use it. And my teacher was like, how about you do a piece in charcoal? And then I did a piece in charcoal, and it turned out pretty good, and I went to National Scholastics with it. And you can see that I've gotten better at charcoal, and it's now my best material. So don't be afraid to challenge yourself and think outside of your comfort zone, because it could really benefit you. So that's all today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it was helpful to anyone that is making a portfolio or who just wants to see my art. So I'm thinking of doing a lot more of these art videos because I love art, and that's who I am. I'm an artist. So thanks guys, like and subscribe, bye!